I don't know what I want to be known as. Not necessarily by my titles. It's, just, a nice guy that does a lot of different things in the society. I have a lot of different interests, That's why, Pelican, Laurel, Knight, Ben King, been the board of directors, and I would hope to be one of those people recognized as one that shares expertise and helps other people along whatever path they're traveling on. I think that's charging station over there. And an oral historian. Being able to say, well, this is how we used to do it, this is how we do it today, but...
Well, it certainly sounds like the SCA has meant a lot to you as a person for a very long time.
Yeah. I think you find a home there, the people... the one thing I like about this organization is it is full of much more than any other organization I've belonged to, and I've been in a lot of organizations. It has a higher level of intelligence and a much higher level of creativity.
Well, it is in the name. I would hope so.
Yes. But you know what I'm saying?
I do. I know exactly what you're saying.
It's not only like-minded people that share the idea of reenactment and things like this. It is also just a more intelligent group of people and more creative group of people, and they share.
Yes.
They're not stingy.
Yes.
You can always find exceptions, but the vast majority of people, are
delighted to find others.
Delighted to dig and find out things and share them with other people.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I like. I like my first event that I went to. I'd been in the group for a while and I interacted with Deernheld, the people in Deernheld, that had never been to an event. And so it was Christmas tourney in Louisville. And, I walk into the building and I got a simple garb and things like that. And I'm looking around and there's a purse with nobody around. There's a Nikon camera with nobody around. There is, and I remarked, that's not normal in the real world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remarked that to the other people that were with me from Deernheld that had been to some other events. Said, yeah, nobody's going to take anything. It's like, nobody bothers any of that stuff.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
This is an honor system. You trust everybody, and I like the fact that you address each other as lords, my lord, my lady, and we are polite to each other. Again, there are exceptions. But there was even less of those exceptions in those days.
Right.
The bigger it gets, the more various personalities you get.
Yeah.
And that's good and that's bad. But that's one of the things that drew me to it.
Right. People feel safe here.
Fighting. I didn't join this organization to fight. I reached that pinnacle. I didn't join this to fight. I didn't want to fight. The guys in Deernheld were just...
Talked you into it?
No. They wanted me to fight. Yeah, fight. And I'm watching these guys, and it's like they're clubbing each other. It's like, boom. They were all beginners, really poor fighters. I can see that now.
Back in those days, there wasn't nearly as much instruction.
There's got to be other things to do. I'll find other things to do. It's dressing up and going and having a fun time. I'll find other things to do. And it was that first event that as I walked through the door, 2 knights happened to be fighting, and in an instant, how sometimes there's just a flash of illumination.
Right.
It's like, holy shit, there's a skill to this.
Oh, yeah.
And they are having fun with each other.
Yeah.
They're not just trying to beat each other.
Right.
They're having fun. they're laughing, and there's skill here, and they're maneuvering. I mean, the guys back in the yard would just stand there, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
There's skill here. And so I got home from the event on Sunday, and Sunday evening I did my first fighting practice.
Wow.
My leg was black.
Oh.
But it was like, I want to do this.
Right.
But it was serendipity, that moment that you walk in the door and you just happen to see two highly skilled, knights, fighting each other and having a ball. And instantaneously, it was like, there's skill here. There's fun here. There's chivalry here.
There's something more than just beating.
We were dressed in Freon helmets and carpet armor, and these guys were in what for the time was really good armor. And it's like, okay, we're back to the movies now that we all grew up with. That I can see this.
See the appeal now.
I can see the appeal.
Right.
And so, that's how I got into fighting.
How did you first find Pennsic once you were in the SCA?
I joined the Athens group, Darren held, 2 weeks after Pennsic 4. And some of those guys had gone to Pennsic 4, and it's the school year starting up. That's all they were talking about.
Oh, I'm sure.
This,
especially
what fun they
Pennsic
had
4 in particular.
At the downpour, but how everybody took care of each other and pushed the cars out of the mud, and it was like, wow, that sounds. And there was like 100 fighters, and not 5 or 6 of us. There was 100 fighters, and it's like, well, that sounds. And after I decided, at Christmas time that I wanted to fight, it was like, well, this is the place to go.
There you go. Yeah.
So, and it was, you come in on Friday night. Fighting starts on Saturday. You do 2 or 3 types of battles. Then you eat dinner and you hang out and you sit around the campfire and you tell stories and you sing songs. Sunday morning you have one more battle until noon and everybody goes home. It was just a long weekend, but it was a lot of fun because there's, I think maybe there's like 250 people. I mean, our regular events are much bigger than that anymore, but that was
right.
That was big, 250 people, and most people were in dome tents, or I was in the National Guard at the time, and I took my army tent, just the pup tent, and slept in it.
Pup tents and land
everything
pimples.
Everything I needed was in a duffel bag.
Yep.
Everything I needed was in a duffel bag.
Kind of like how I come to fight.
I had a tunic to fight in and a tunic to wear in the evening. That was my clothes, and so it was simple, but it was very much fun, and so I had a lot of fun. And so when Pennsic is there, it's like, okay, I'm going to Pennsic, and that was Pennsic 6 here. And it was a big improvement. And then, Pennsic 7. And then I got knighted at Pennsic 8. And it's like, okay, you're hooked then.
So
and at Pennsic 9, I was king.
Wow. That's some rapid progression.
4 years from the time that I started to fight in the garage with that black and blue, 4 years, I was king. And It was like, sometimes I got to remind myself that it was that fast because it's so slow for people these days. So slow.
Oh yeah.
And I'm one of those that I think we should be knighting people that have the skill. You got to have the skill, and the other qualities.
Right.
But just because they're 21 shouldn't be a block if they have all of those things. Well, they're kind of young still. Let's see, And you always want to make sure that somebody, in my mind, you want to make sure that they've found a home in the SCA.
Right.
That they're staying. Now, life gets in the way. When you're a teenager and you're still in college, where am I going to live? And getting married, and will my spouse want to do this? And having kids, and that slows you down, and things like that. But, I think it's especially important for peers that they have found a home in the SCA and they intend to stay and guide
into their
others. Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's a long way around of saying how I got to Pennsic 5, but okay.
5 was your first
5 was
Pennsic.
the first one. But I joined, like I say, 2 weeks after Pennsic
After
4,
Pennsic 4.
and because that's everything that they were talking about
Yeah.
at Darrenheld.
Yeah.
Kind of like we'll do in September.
You know?
And there's, you got to go. I mean, you got to go. And it was, and it was magical to those guys. And Pennsic 5 was magical to me.
I like to think it still is.
And yeah, that's why I keep coming back.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went. And I went with, there was probably about 6 or 7 people from Darrenheld, that went. And that was a pretty good contingent. And, we all camped together. And it was just, it was fun.
Pennsic 5, that's a lot of Pennsics to draw, and you've watched it change an awful lot.
Yeah, I've only missed one, and that was the one that was 19 when Mark was born.
Wow.
He was born during war court. No, he was. Hey, honey, Mark was born early in the morning at war court because they posted it outside war court, didn't they? That he was born. At 1 o'clock in the morning. The day before war court, but during Pennsic.
Wow.
And they posted it outside the entrance to war court.
Grand announcement.
That our in front of the store, because the store was just the other side.
Yeah,
War court was in there, but they posted it out by Cooper's store.
By the store and the war court entrance.
Yeah, that Mark was born. Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's the only one. That's the only one that we've missed.
The only one you've missed in 45 Pennsics since you started.
Well, and then I came to Armistice. It was a small event, and it was kind of like an old Pennsic. It was kind of like Pennsic, 7 or 8.
A little bit like going back in time.
Yeah. But we knew part of it was Pennsic 9. We had been here for 3 years, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Uh-huh.
And Gavin was the king of the East at the time, and we decided that we would make Mac Cooper and Betty Cooper court baron and baroness. And so I'm trying to remember which one was which. I think I did Mac Cooper and he did Betty. So that the two kingdoms, they were court baroness and baron from two different kingdoms joining together.
That's such a cool idea.
Then later, I didn't do it, but later they were both made Pelicans.
Oh wow!
They are society members.
I mean, I would imagine so.
They are society members, and they are. Well, I don't know what's been given to the children. I mean, both Betty and Mac are coming. But in those early days, we all got to know each other, and things like that, and what they were doing year to year to improve the encampment and make things better for us. It was just, this is the type of recognition for service.
Exactly.
That you do.
Exactly.
And then the same thing for the service as a Pelican.
Right. Very much.
Well deserved. So.
Very much so. Is there anything that you would change about the way it is now, or that you would want to bring back from the way it used to be?
Yes and no. I used to say, back in those early days, I could go visit all my friends and have a beer with them in those 3 or 4 days that Pennsic was long.
Right. You could get the whole way around everything.
I could get all the way around. And like I say, sit and talk, have a beer, and things like that. Because the numbers were small.
Right.
Now at 15,000, I don't even see all the people from Middle Marches.
Right. I know, right?
Maybe in passing or things like that. So
the drive-by hug.
But, when I tell people, well, I belong to the Christmas Collector Club, okay? Yeah. And our convention starts this coming Saturday, not tomorrow. The day that I'll be leaving here is when that convention starts. Now, it changes and it moves from place to place, and the dates change. It's always in a hotel.
Okay.
And it's cost me $175 a night or $150 a night to stay there. It cost me $175 to spend a week here.
I know,
you know,
exactly.
And so we've done that, and we've got a whole world of friends and things there.
Right.
And George Johnson writes Christmas books, and George, when are you gonna write the next book? And you ever gonna be king again? No. But where's the next White Hart book? And so it's two different worlds, but that brings about 700 people.
Okay.
And that's big. That's 700 people who collect Antique Christmas. Well, what were you doing last week, George? I went to my medieval reenactment group. Well, how many people were there? 15,000.
It's got to be fun to watch the eyeballs.
Yes, exactly. Well, lots of them, and there's a handful of them that have bought my books too. But it is presently surprising to say, well, what do you do with this international convention? We can't. Well, how many of you are you? 15,000. 15,000 people camping? Yes. But you've got to understand that in my camp, we have a freezer, refrigerator, 6-burner stove, an oven, 3 microwaves, and our shower.
We're glamping here.
But we all sleep under canvas.
Yes.
And it's like, well, is this like a Ren Fair? No, I sometimes try to say basically you got to be a member. We don't do this for the public. We do this for ourselves.
Exactly.
And there's 2,000 fighters on the field. It's the biggest armies that clash outside the Middle Ages. We are.
Yeah.
And hardcore reenactors kind of, the SCA, but they have clubs of 500 people.
Exactly.
And battles of 100.
Exactly.
And they say, yeah, but we have about. Yeah, but the armor doesn't match. Oh, they're right.
They're right. But
it's not all Anglo-Saxons versus Vikings in the correct armor.
Exactly. We're a lot more expansive.
Exactly, and that's why it makes us the largest. The current membership cards are over 250,000. The number.
Wow.
We're over that. That was a couple years ago. Now, and I know that probably half the people here are really not members. And half the people that participate aren't members. You only have to be a member anymore if you're going to be an officer.
Right.
So how many people has this touched in 50 years?
Right.
At least several 100,000, more probably close to 500,000 people have come through this organization over that, and it's more than 50 years for the society now too.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to it. I don't know that there's anything that I would change or go back to. I'm not necessarily all that nostalgic about it. Like I say, numbers is one thing, and it's like, I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah,
At
that's
Pennsic
really impressive.
At Pennsic 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were only 2 kings there. The king of the middle, and the king of the east. At Pennsic 9, we had our first foreign king. He was the king of the Meridians. And I had become friends with him at border raids. We just hit it off, had a lot of fun together. And he came to the war, and the king of the east said, well, what do we do with him?
What do we do with them?
What do we do with him? I said, we set him up here with us. He said, well, no, this is a war between the middle and the kingdom, the middle and the east, and it's like, he's got to sit in the front row. No, he's not going to sit in the front row. He's going to sit up here with us.
Yeah.
And so now we're up to what? Maybe 12, 13 sets of kings and queens that sit up front in your court. And in those days, we did, it was the only court, okay? And we would go back and forth, east and middle, and we would hand out AOAs and kingdom awards and peerages and things like that. But as you got up to 5, 6 kings showing and all wanting to do stuff, the court got ungodly. So at 16, Iselin and I decided to do a Middle Kingdom court only, which we do now.
Yeah.
That was the first time. And we knew that there were people, because at that point in time, we owned pretty much all of Canada and, Callantyre and not Callantyre, but, Eldemir hadn't broken off yet,
Right.
and North Shield hadn't broken off yet, and there were lots of people in far reaches that would not get their AOA from the crown, that it would be Mongolian Express, handed from one person to another until it finally got to them. And, for a lot of people in the SCA, an AOA or an AOA level award is all that they get. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that should be their moment of glory. To
Right.
walk up, kneel before the crown, and the crown to express, their thanks for what you're doing or your skill or your service, and name you a lord or a lady and lift you up and introduce you to the populace. That's the thrill.
Right.
And to be denied that, and you just get a piece of paper, handed to you, here, the king gave you an AOA. So we decided, let's do that. And we'll catch a lot of those people that are, really 14, 15, 20 hours away, but come to Pennsic.
Right.
And so we had quite a list, and word started to go around, they're going to have a court. We're going to have a court here.
Yes.
And we had a lot of people came in and said, so-and-so is here, and they're from Minneapolis or wherever, and, they would love to, they deserve their, and they would love to get it from you, and can you do it? So we had scribes busy and things like that, but my philosophy always was, when the king says in court, you're a lord or a lady or whatever award it is, and you don't have a piece of paper, the king's word is law.
Yep.
You are. The
Yep.
paperwork can catch up. Because I had second reign, I had a scribe that said, well, you can't give that award. Why not? We don't have a scroll done yet. I don't care. You're telling me that I can't announce in court and my word is not good enough?
Right.
Well, the paperwork can catch up.
That'll get there eventually.
Yeah. The king before me wanted to have a scroll for everything, but was then very kind of stingy. Well, particularly with AOAs. He did what became not affectionately known as gangbang AOAs. The last thing in court, the herald walked forward, not the king. The herald walked forward and said, and the following people have AOAs, and read off a list. Well, if I'm in the back, it was like, who?
Yeah.
Was that, and, there's a lot of people in the SCA that have the same name.
Yeah.
Was that Christina me? And it was very, very confusing. And the last line was, you can contact your local baron to make arrangements to have a scroll made for you.
Very depersonalized.
Very depersonalized. And about the third time, I was prince, about the third time that happened in court, it pissed a lot of people off.
I'd imagine
And it was
so.
confusing because it took away that moment of glory.
Right.
And
right.
they came to Iceland and I and said, are you going to keep doing that? I said, absolutely not. We're going to give them one at a time. I don't care how long court is. We're going
Yeah.
to recognize people. And so we had a huge list of recommendations while we were prince and princess.
What do you think your future in the SCA is going to look like? What are your plans?
What are my plans?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still having fun. I've switched from heavy, a lot less heavy. I'm having fun with rapier. It's a challenge for me. It's got the same type of camaraderie that I've enjoyed in fighting. One of the things, I guess you said, what I don't like the win at all cost attitude that some people have, and I don't like the escalation of blows that I think many people are going to be paying for when they're 60 years old.
Yep.
Blow escalation in melees has become ugly to me.
Right. Right.
And that's one of the things that I don't like. We hit much lighter back in the days. We weren't out to hurt each other.
We
Right.
also didn't wear as much.
We didn't wear as much of armor, and that's a truism too. And as the armor got better, the blows got harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my switch is to, I'm having the same amount of fun with something that's much safer to my head.
Right. Right.
and it's a different skill that I have to learn.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It's
it keeps
continuing
me
to
on my
challenge
toes.
your
and
brain and your body.
keeps me on my toes, you know, it's just another thing that I enjoy in the SCA. Am I a good fencer? I'm a fair fencer, you know. But and will I become a mod? No. But my advice to anybody that's, well, how do you become a peer? Do something that you want to do that's fun, and just do it because it's fun. Because it's fun, you'll do it more often.
Something
and as
that
do
you
it
really
more
want to
often,
pour
you'll
your heart
get
into.
better at
Yeah.
it. And you know, you're not worried whether, because you're having fun, you're not worried whether somebody's going to give you a doodad or not.
Right. Right.
And so, you know, I'm doing fencing. I don't need another doodad. You know, I want to have fun.
Right.
And I'm having fun with it. I want to do some more teaching. You know, physically, when you know, like I was saying earlier, when you can't do one thing, there's so many other things to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
You'll never run out.
I still do service. You know, there's plenty of that to do. I want to do more fencing. I want to do more teaching. I'm shooting a ballista this year at the war. I like archery. There's too many things for me to do sometimes. I like throwing weapons.
Write more books.
You know, yeah. But and do more research
Yeah.
and improve that display. You know,